sweet tea vow promise kept by the next morning. My manager was bleeding out behind the restaurant, and all I could think about was a stranger's smile and a cup of sweet tea. Tuesday nights at the Hooters were usually simple wings, small talk, forced laughter for tips. I'd been there 2 years long enough to tell the difference between harmless drunk energy and something that felt aimed. That night was slow. 3 regulars sat at the bar TVs, murmured sports on mute, and I was wiping down a table near the taps when the front door chimed. A gust of cold air slid in, carrying wet asphalt and cigarette smoke from the parking lot. A woman walked in alone. She looked wrong for the season, heavy sweater sleeves tugged over her hands. Her hair was cut into a blunt little bowl, uneven, like she'd done it herself. She clutched her purse tight against her ribs, scanned the room once, then locked on to me. When our eyes met, she smiled like we'd made plans. She didn't go to the host stand. She came straight to me. "Hi, honey," she said, voice sugary. "It's good to finally meet you, Hailey." My stomach dropped. My name tag sat crooked under the apron strap, and even if she'd glimpsed it, the way she said my name sounded practiced, like she'd said it out loud in private. Still, my training kicked in. "Hey, welcome in," I managed. "Table for 1-1, she said. "But I want you as my waitress, no one else, just you." It was delivered as a requirement, not a request. Behind her, the ceiling camera's red LED blinked. I clung to it, thinking if she tried anything, the footage would protect me. That thought lasted seconds at most. I told myself it was just a needy customer, maybe a lonely local. "Sure," I said, "right this way." I led her toward the back, past empty booths and the blinking red light of the security camera in the corner. She hummed under her breath as she walked an old tune that didn't match anything playing overhead. I sat her in a booth near the wall. She kept her purse in her lap, fingers hooked around the strap. When I handed her the menu, she brushed her fingertips over mine on purpose. "Pretty hands," she murmured. "Do you play piano?" "No," I said with a thin laugh. "Just carry trays and drop things." She giggled too loudly for such an empty room, then tilted her head. "You're funnier in person." "What can I get you to drink?" I asked. "Sweet tea," she said instantly, like she'd been waiting to say it. I brought it back, sweating condensation, lemon wedge on the rim. Her eyes followed the cup down to the table. She didn't sip. She watched it. Then the questions began, rapid and intimate. "Do you live nearby? Are you married? What kind of car do you drive? Do you go to church?" I gave the same vague answers every waitress learns. "Not far." "No, just a car." "Sometimes." I tried to redirect to food, but she didn't care about wings. "I follow your Instagram," she said, leaning forward. "Like a Bible? I see everything you post." A cold weight settled in my chest. I wasn't an influencer, just photos with friends, nothing that invited worship. I told myself she was exaggerating, that this was the world now, strangers watching your life through a screen and thinking it made them close. "Oh," I said. "Okay, you're even prettier off screen," she continued. "You and I could be friends, Hailey, maybe even more." Her gaze slid over me as if she was trying to memorize the parts she didn't get from photos. "That's sweet," I said, keeping my voice steady, "but I have a boyfriend." I hated how fast I reached for that line like a lock I carried in my pocket. Her face changed in an instant. The smile shut off. Her lips pressed together. Her eyes went dark. "Men ruin everything beautiful," she said quietly. I blinked. "Excuse me." Her hand snapped out and grabbed my wrist. Her skin was cold, the kind of cold that makes you jerk before you can think. Her grip was stronger than it should have been. "Don't waste yourself on one of them," she said, still in that honeyed tone as if she were giving advice. "Ma'am?" I whispered, trying to pull back without making a scene. "Please let go." She leaned closer until I smelled damp wool and something sour beneath her perfume. "Don't call me ma'am," she said. "Call me Delaney." Her thumb pressed my pulse point, and my body reacted like it was a threat. "Sweet tea is how you consent," she added, smiling again, an eerie smile that didn't belong on a human face. My laugh came out wrong. "That's not how anything works," I said. "I'm just doing my job." "No," Delaney corrected, soft and certain. "You're here because I picked you." My voice rose despite me. "You need to stop, right now." A chair scraped at the bar. I saw my manager, Gavin, glance up. Gavin walked over, calm but sharp-eyed. "Everything okay here?" he asked. Delaney released my wrist instantly like she'd never touched me. "We're fine," she said brightly. "Just girl talk." Her smile flickered, then locked back into place. Gavin looked at me, and whatever he saw in my face made his jaw tighten. I told him fast what she'd done, what she'd said. "Ma'am," he said to her, "you need to leave." Delaney stood slowly smoothing her sweater as if she were fixing herself for a picture. The room felt colder when she rose, like the air had been holding its breath. As she stepped past me, she leaned in so close I felt her whisper against my ear. "When you say no," she breathed, "you don't end it, you open the door." Then with that broken, certain smile, she added, "The vow has your name memorized." Logan picked me up after close headlights washing the empty lot. I slid into the passenger seat with my wrist tucked against my stomach, like hiding the red half-moon marks could make them fade. The inside of his car smelled like black coffee. He asked how my shift was, and I heard myself answer too fast. "Fine." Then the word crumpled. By the time we reached the first stoplight, I told him everything the way Delaney said my name, like she'd been rehearsing it, the questions that landed like darts, the cold grip, the vow. Logan's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. "That's not a customer," he said. "That's a stalker. Next time she shows up, you call the cops." I nodded, but my stomach kept tightening. In the side mirror, every set of headlights felt too close. "Probably just a lonely weirdo," I said, forcing a laugh. Logan didn't laugh. "Lonely weirdos don't claim you." At home, I double-checked the deadbolt and hated myself for needing to. I washed my hands, stared at the faint bruising, and told my reflection, "Tomorrow will be normal." It sounded like a bargain. My phone buzzed while I brushed my teeth. Instagram a new follower request from an account with no photo and a handle that looked half random, something like sweet tea_vow. I told myself it was a bot and tapped anyway. The bio held one sentence, "Keep your promises." Then I saw it had been created minutes ago. I blocked it. Another request appeared almost immediately, different handle, same blank face. I blocked that too. By the third one, my mouth tasted metallic. "It's probably an app glitch," I whispered, "or someone messing around." The excuses sounded thin in the bathroom light. Logan texted to check on me. I typed, "All good, just tired," and forced myself into bed. Sleep didn't come cleanly. I drifted, woke, drifted again. Once I heard a soft scrape outside the window, branch, animal, anything. I didn't look. I kept my eyes shut and told myself, it's just the wind. At 6:12 a.m., my phone rang. Casey's name flashed on the screen. My throat tightened before I answered. Her voice was thin, shaking. "Hailey," she said, "did you hear? I sat up so fast my sheets tangled around my legs." "Hear what?" There was a pause, like she had to swallow something awful. "Gavin's dead." For a second, I didn't understand the words. Then they landed. "No," I said too softly. "What do you mean, dead?" Casey started crying. "They found him in the alley behind the restaurant. He was stabbed. The cops think it happened right after we closed." I stared at the wall as if it might explain itself. Gavin's face from last night, annoyed, protective, focused, floated in my mind. Delaney's eyes had gone dark when he told her to leave. I wanted to call it coincidence. People get hurt. But the timing felt like a hand closing around my throat. Logan answered on the second ring when I called him. I told him in one breath. He went quiet, then said, "We're going to the police. Now." His voice was steady in a way that scared me. "And you're not going back to work." At the precinct, the air smelled like old carpet and stale coffee. A desk sergeant took my statement while a TV in the corner played silent morning news. A little recorder on his desk blinked red. I described Delaney without embellishing the wrist grab, the vow line, the demand that only I serve her. He asked for a last name, an address, a car. I had none. "Save screenshots," he said, sliding me a card. "Don't reply. If she shows up again, call 911. The word again hit hard. 2 officers drove me to the restaurant. Daylight made the place look like a set after the actors leave bright colors, dead quiet. Out back, the alley stank of sour beer and fryer grease. Yellow tape fluttered near the dumpster. I didn't go close, but I saw dark stains on the asphalt and scuffed gravel where someone had struggled. My body didn't believe any comforting story I tried to tell it. Inside, a coworker said the back camera had acted up freezing around closing time. One officer asked for the DVR. Another rewound the footage until the motion turned choppy and the timestamp jumped forward by minutes. Power surge, he muttered, like that settled it. It felt like someone had edited my life with a dirty thumb. One of the officers told me they could request a restraining order only with a real identity. I nodded like I understood, but my thoughts kept skidding back to Delaney's whisper. In the break room, Casey muttered that her grandma used to warn about a sweet tea promise people made to trap someone. No magic, just obsession dressed up as tradition. I almost laughed. Then outside my car door handle felt tacky, slick with sugar, as if someone had just touched it so I would notice. Logan insisted I come stay at his place. I said no out of stubbornness because my apartment was my only proof I still had control. He watched me install extra locks anyway and turned on two-factor authentication on my phone. When it buzzed again, I did what the sergeant said screenshot first. A blank account had viewed my old story highlights photos from months ago one by one like counting beads. Back home, I tried to do normal things, toast laundry water for the plants. Everything tasted like ash. My phone stayed face down on the table, vibrating against the wood. A voicemail came from an unknown number. I played it on speaker, expecting silence. Instead, there was breathing, and underneath it a faint humming of the same tune Delaney had carried into the booth. The message ended with a soft click. I stared at the screen until my eyes burned. Then a text arrived from a number with no contact name. You said no. Now you're marked. By afternoon, the apartment felt smaller than it had the night before, like the walls had edged closer while I wasn't looking. Logan wanted me at his place, wanted me behind a locked door he could stand in front of. I told him I was fine, and the lie tasted like pennies. I kept my blinds half closed and moved through my rooms without turning on music, listening instead to the building's ordinary noises: a neighbor's shower, the elevator groaning, a dog barking once and then stopping too abruptly. Every sound asked the same question: who else is here? The unknown number text sat on my screen like a bruise. I didn't answer it. I saved screenshots as if proof could turn into protection. Then I checked the locks again. It's just anxiety, I whispered. It's just a bad person. The words were supposed to be solid. They dissolved anyway. At 4:38 p.m., someone knocked 2 sharp taps, paused, then one more. My lungs forgot how to move. I waited for a voice to call my name. Nothing. I crept to the peephole. The hall was empty, but a smell drifted under the door, sweet and sharp at the same time. Lemon, sugar, tea. I didn't open it. I didn't call out. I backed away like the door might swing inward on its own. When Logan arrived, he'd found me holding my keys so tightly the metal bit my palm. He listened without interrupting, then ordered a doorbell camera for same-day delivery, like speed could outrun fear. If she's coming back, he said, we'll have her on video. The camera arrived before sunset. Logan installed it fast, glancing down the hallway between screws. The live feed showed my door, my doormat, the dull carpet, nothing else. Ordinary. I stared at that rectangle of normalcy until my eyes watered. Logan stayed until 10. I begged him with my eyes not to leave. I let him anyway because I hated needing anyone. After he left, I sat on my couch with my phone in my lap watching the feed. The hallway light outside my door burned through the peephole in a thin golden dot. I blinked and imagined it was an eye. At 1:17 a.m., motion triggered. My phone buzzed and the screen flashed, person detected. My body moved before my thoughts did. I tapped the alert. The video stuttered into view, grainy, greenish night vision. The hallway was empty for half a second, then the image smeared as if someone had dragged a wet finger across the lens. For 3 frames, a shape filled the left edge sweater sleeve, the curve of a shoulder hair hanging blunt and wrong. Then the feed froze. I hit replay. The same 3 frames. I zoomed until the pixels became blocks. A pale hand lifted toward the camera, and the screen went to static. I called Logan. He answered, groggy. "Check your phone," I whispered. "She's here." He was on his way before I finished the sentence. While I waited, my front door handle rattled, once soft, experimental. I didn't scream. I slid down the wall and called 911, forcing my voice to work. "Someone's outside my apartment," I said. "I have video. I think it's the woman from the restaurant." "Ma'am, are you in immediate danger?" the dispatcher asked. I swallowed. "I don't know," I said. "That's the problem. I don't know what she can do." Sirens arrived like a wave. 2 officers knocked and announced themselves. When I opened the door, my legs shook so hard I had to grip the frame. They watched the clip on my phone. One officer frowned at the static. "Could be Wi-Fi interference," he said, and my fear flashed into anger sharp enough to hold. "Interference doesn't have a haircut," I snapped. They searched the floor and stairwell. Nothing. No Delaney, no sweater. One officer asked if I'd received anything else, calls, messages, gifts. My mouth went dry as I said yes. He wrote while the pen scratching sounded like insects. They left with a case number and the same advice: don't reply. Keep records, call again if she returns. The hallway went quiet again, and quiet felt like a trap. Logan arrived 20 minutes later, breathless, eyes wild. He paced my living room like a caged animal. "We should go," he said, "right now. Pack a bag." I nodded and went to my bedroom, hands trembling over drawers, trying to choose what mattered when my life felt like it belonged to someone else. That's when the camera pinged again. Another motion alert. Logan and I stared at the screen together. The hallway was empty, perfectly still. But on my doormat sat a small cardboard package taped neatly, no shipping label. My name was written in careful cursive across the top, like a love letter that hated me. Logan's face drained of color. "Don't touch it," he said, and his voice finally cracked. We called 911 again. The officers returned with gloves and an evidence bag. They opened the box on my kitchen counter while the body camera's tiny red light blinked. Inside were wadded tissues, soaked dark and sticky. Beneath them, a folded note. The officer read it without blinking, then slid it across so I could see. "You shouldn't have said no." On the body cam playback, the timestamp on the hallway feed jumped backward a minute, then forward 3, like the night had hiccuped. One officer muttered that cheap cameras did that. The other sealed the note into plastic and said almost kindly, "People think threats are harmless if they're written. Paper cuts deeper than knives." Logan grabbed my shoulders, eyes shining with anger. "We're leaving," he said, "tonight before she comes back alone." My vision narrowed. The room went cold in a way heat can't fix. Then my phone lit up with a new message from an unknown number arriving as if it had been waiting for the box to open. "It doesn't matter where you move. The vow follows." We left in a hurry that didn't feel like escape so much as obedience. Logan shoved clothes into a duffel, grabbed my laptop, my charger, my wallet, anything that made sense to grab when you're trying to pretend you're still a person with normal needs. I stood at the doorway watching the officers' taillights vanish from the lot, and the quiet behind them felt staged, like the building was holding itself still for an audience. "Look at me," Logan said, hands on my shoulders. His eyes were bloodshot from lack of sleep and anger. "We go somewhere public. We stay under lights. We don't stop to argue with a stranger in a hallway again." "You hear me?" "I hear you," I said, and realized I meant it the way you say it to a storm. He kept talking, practical plans stacked like sandbags, motel off the highway call, and sick talk to the leasing office in the morning. Maybe leave town for a week. I nodded at each point, but my body had already decided on one truth. If Delaney could put that box at my door, she could touch any border I drew. In the car, Logan set my phone in the center console like it was evidence. The screen stayed dark for miles, and that made it worse. The city lights thinned into long stretches of black road and sodium lamps. Wind rattled the highway signs. Each time we passed under an overpass, the brief shadow over the windshield felt like a hand. Logan broke the silence first. "You think she killed Gavin?" he said. I didn't answer right away. Saying it out loud made it real in a way my mind wasn't ready to carry. "I think she wanted me to connect it," I said. "I think she wanted me to learn what happens when someone says no." Logan's jaw worked. "We don't know that," he said too quickly. Then softer, "I just don't want you turning every coincidence into a curse." "A curse doesn't need magic," I said. "It just needs a person who won't stop." The words came out flat, like something I'd read on a warning label. She doesn't need to be supernatural to ruin my life. We pulled into a gas station around midnight. The fluorescent canopy made the pavement look wet even where it was dry. Logan told me to stay in the car while he went inside. I watched him through the glass doors, watched his reflection overlay the shelves of chips and energy drinks. A teenage cashier looked up, then looked past him, eyes widening for a split second. The cashier's gaze didn't stay on Logan. It slid toward the window toward me, then snapped back down. My skin tightened. I craned my neck trying to see what he'd seen. Headlights swept across the lot. A pickup rolled by, nothing unusual. I forced myself to breathe. Logan came back with water and a protein bar. "You're shaking," he said. "I'm cold," I lied. He started the engine, and as we pulled away, a figure stepped out from between two dumpsters behind the building. Not rushing, not hiding, just appearing at the edge of the light, like she'd been there the whole time. Heavy sweater, a blunt, uneven fringe. She lifted her hand not to wave, but to press her palm to the darkness, as if she could feel the car through it. Logan didn't see her. He was checking the mirror merging onto the road, muttering about idiots who drove too fast at night. I turned to look again, and the figure was gone. Maybe she'd never been there. Maybe I'd imagined her. That was the trap either answer made me lose. Hailey, Logan said sharper, "What are you doing?" I thought I saw. My voice broke. I swallowed hard. "Never mind, it's just my brain." "That's what I'm saying," he replied, relief and frustration tangling together. "That's what I'm trying to protect you from." Protect. The word annoyed me more than it should have. Protection didn't stop a box from landing on my mat. Protection didn't stop Gavin from bleeding in an alley. We found a motel by the interstate with a flickering vacancy sign. The lobby smelled like stale detergent and microwave popcorn. A tired clerk slid a keycard across the counter without asking questions. Logan paid cash like money could erase the trail. The hallway carpet was patterned in a way that made my eyes swim. Somewhere behind a door, a TV laughed. Inside our room, Logan checked the window latch and the bathroom window and the closet, methodical as a ritual of his own. "We're safe," he said, and I understood how badly he needed to believe it. I sat on the edge of the bed and watched the neon sign outside bleed red into the curtains. My phone buzzed once in the console of the car as Logan carried the duffel in. I hadn't touched it since the police took the note. Now it vibrated again on the nightstand as if it had been waiting for a new location. Unknown number. "You can't outrun a promise." Logan read it over my shoulder and swore. He typed back before I could stop him. "Leave her alone." The moment he hit send, the phone rang. Not a normal ring. An old, tinny tone that sounded like it belonged to a landline in a movie. Logan hesitated, then answered on speaker. Silence. Then breathing slow and close like someone had their mouth near the microphone. Under it a faint hum, the same tune that had crawled into the restaurant with her. The sound made my stomach fold in on itself. A voice slid in gentle enough to be mistaken for affectionate. "You're not the one she promised," Delaney said. Logan stood frozen. "Who is this?" he demanded. "You shouldn't have texted." She replied, almost amused. "Men always think they can negotiate." "Where are you?" Logan snapped. "In the part of her life you can't lock," Delaney said. "Tell her the tea is waiting." The call ended with a soft click. Logan stared at the phone like it had insulted him. "That's it," he said. "We're getting a new number. We're going to the cops in the morning. I'm not letting her—" He stopped. His certainty faltered. The air in the room shifted, not colder but heavier, as if a door somewhere had opened and let in something damp. "Logan," I whispered. He followed my gaze to the window. The glass reflected the room, the bedspread, the lamp, Logan's silhouette. But layered over the reflection outside, under the orange glow of the parking lot lights, someone stood on the sidewalk facing our door. Sweater, crooked bowl cut, purse clutched tight. Delaney didn't wave, she didn't smile. She just raised one finger and drew an invisible line across her throat, slow and patient, then pressed her palm flat against the glass from the other side as if the window wasn't there. My voice came out as a breath. "She found us." Logan yanked the curtain open. The sidewalk was empty. The night hummed with distant traffic. A moth battered itself against the light. Nothing else moved. I couldn't stop staring at the glass. In the reflection for one more second, her face remained close, certain eyes fixed on mine like pins. Then her lips moved, and I read the words without hearing them. Promise kept. If a stranger learns your name from a screen and offers you a promise you never asked for, don't argue to prove you're right, just leave and don't look back. Have you ever heard a local legend in your state about a vow, a ritual, or a mark that follows you once you're chosen?